Good afternoon, students. I'm Petrina Wanga, your English tutor. Compliment of the new year. Okay, we are here for English Module 2 or ACP English 12 presentation. This presentation covers our assignment part, our examination, both of them April, August, and November. So you must know that, make sure that you understand the presentation in details when you are preparing for your examination, because you don't know which specific question will be in there. Okay, before I start with the presentation, I just want to apologize on the question that appeared in your assignment. I received a lot of calls from you students. My apology, my dear students. English, question 6 was a little bit complication on it. It was incomplete. The points that it reads as suggest why the following are possible advantage of group work, but the components that you're supposed to basically focus your argument were not listed there, they were omitted. A student who called me, I advised them to just write the advantage of group work in English lesson in general. But I don't know a student who did not call me, how did they answer this question. But don't be panic. I will try to find a way on how to mark this question. I will not penalize too much because it was not your fault, but that's how the question is supposed to read. There are some points under these questions that you're supposed to focus your argument. I don't know whether you'll be able to read this one, but just make sure you text me. Make sure that you text me when if you are doing English 11, English 12, so that I can be able to send you this information for this question. Not for the assignment papers anymore, because the assignment due date is over, but in case you meet this question in the examination, you'll be able to answer it, just for you to prepare based on those components that were missing on your assignment. Because the assignment basically it's prepared, it's made to prepare you for examination, to be able to answer the examination. And this is the question that you're supposed also to have there, but it was omitted. Please try to text me, say I am doing English 12. Can you give me the information of question 6 in our assignment? Then I will text you how the question is supposed to read. And when you are preparing for examination, make sure that you also touch those points on your preparation. My apology, student. So this is just the normal thing, that the books that you're supposed to consult when you are preparing for examination, or these are a course book that we need to read. And I want to read them, but please try to make sure that you have, especially the guide for Iol, is where all the information about the subjects are. Please try to make sure that you have one. Let's start with our presentation. This is the summary of the guide itself. I summarize some key points that are in our guide. Different figure of speech. There are different figure of speech. When we are talking about figure of speech, we talk about things like metaphor, simile, neologism, and so forth, plot, and so forth. Make sure that you know what is a metaphor, what is a simile, what is a neologism, and so forth. Try to know what are the examples. Give me the examples of these terms, just for you to be able. I try to give some examples here, just for you to understand what does it say, but go beyond this one and have your own understanding, where you can be able to recall the term easily when it comes to the exam writing. The benefit of literature. When we are talking about literature, we mean like storybooks, poem, and so forth, and all those type of things. What are the benefits do they have to our learners? One, build the experience. Learners might read those storybooks from different country or different culture, and they will have experience in other people's culture. Even they have never visited, for example, other country, they will know what is happening there just because they pick up that one from the literature books that they were reading. Those are some of the benefits. A lot of points are in our study guide, English study guide, but try also to have your own research. Also, don't just stick your study on your study guide. You can use Google and Google some information, but try to get information, the concrete information, not just those information where one can see that this information are not true. Try to get the PDF information in PDF and so forth, or otherwise use your guide or try to come up with your own from your teaching experience. Way of developing love of reading in learners. That this sometimes can also be way of developing culture of reading in our learners. What should we do? This comes in both subject English 1 and 2. You can meet this question, this type of question, which asking you how should we do it, just to make our learners love reading. Providing reading, stimulating reading material is one of the key points that one can mention about. But please try to have as much as you can, and always look at the marks when you're answering your questions. Try to consider to have marks in your mind. If the question is having 10 marks and you only give points that are enough for 2 marks, there's no ways that you can get full marks. Of course, you get 2, which is enough for the point that you really indicated there. Using learner-centered approach in teaching English, we are all aware of learner-centered approach. This is the approach that we are using in Namibian schools, where learners are have more say, more role to play in a lesson. Now, using learners, how can we use learner-centered approach now in our English lesson? Here is few points that I have just highlighted for you, but try to summarize, to have your own summary, what you do in your class when you are teaching English in learner-centered approach method. So what are those things? That learner-centered approach is an approach which emphasizes interaction. So you know the interaction between the learners and learners, the interaction between the learners and teacher. So that one is the key point in learner-centered approach. So try to give me some more points on how to teach using learner-centered method in English lesson. So this one, the creator of the film, we are all aware of the film. We are all aware what the film is. Okay, there are people who play a role in a film, like a director, a producer, an editor and scriptwriter, and so forth. Your book is written by Latrin and Pincus, which is more about grammar and literature. So they have really give concrete information about what are these creators and what are their roles. Try to consult it and have yourself more information, knowledge on this one, and be able to tackle it from all the angles. So make sure that you understand these points or creator of the film. Problem-based learning. What is a problem-based learning? So in problem-based learning, learners are presented with a really world problem that they need to solve. That is problem-based learning. So you get a certain stimulating problem, and the way the learners have now to use their own thinking. They try to be creative. They try to approach the problem presented to them from different angle and try to find a solution to it. That is the way of, the strategy which is used in problem-based learning. And the answer that learners are getting, if maybe you presented learners are in groups and you give them the same problem to solve, each group might come up with a different solution to a problem, but there is no any right or wrong answer on this one. What you look at is on it, the way, the approach that learners have used to solve that problem. As long as the problem is solved, doesn't matter it's solved from the right or it's solved from the left or center, as long as the solution is there. That is what the problem solved learning look at. So try to read more on this one and be able to give examples and also discuss about it. There are advantages of group work. This is one of the question which played a role in your assignment because it appeared almost twice, question 3 and 6. I know you have got a lot of argument to argue about this one, and I won't touch too much on it. So the advantage of group work in our classroom, so we know it make easy for a teacher to control the class, to mark, and all those type of things. When learners are in groups, so now the number of work of the teacher become less. Even the time management, it can also be improved when learners are in group. Factors to consider when selecting literatures for the learners. When you are referring to literature here, it's just books to read in the class. What are those things that you need to look at when you are choosing books for your learners to read? One can look at maybe books that talk about different culture, because you want your learners to know different culture. And you choose books that are talking more on different cultures. You talk about books that are having a lot of encouragement stories about learners who did well in schools and all those type of things. So the selection of the books in the for your class, as long as it doesn't discriminate, maybe just talking about the certain tribe which is a good tribe, or maybe a certain by saying maybe men are good than women, those type of discrimination. So those are the things that we do not encourage when selecting our books. We must choose books that really inclusive, cover both culture, cover female and male and so forth, and also that do not teach our learners or influencing our learners bad. Those don't have bad influence into our learners. So those are the things. There are some points also that you can look at, but try to get more info on this one when you're selecting your books for your learners to read in English class. Ways of teaching new words. This is new. When we're talking about new words, we refer to vocabularies. New word is just vocabularies. What are those strategies, method, ways that you can consider when making a selection? Or maybe, let me say, when you are teaching your learners new words. Illustration is one of the best methods that one can use. You teach learners, or maybe you have a word in a card, a word card. You show it to the learners, and at the same time, you have a picture which define that word. For example, dog, a word dog. You show learners, this is the word dog. Can you read it? They repeat it, and here is a picture of the dog. In that way, it's easy for the learners to remember the word dog by associating it with a picture that they have saw or that you have just shown them when you were teaching them a new word. You mime, and mime is when you act out a word. For example, running. So you write a word running on the board. Instead of now going throughout the whole text and try to explain what is running to the learners, you act it out, and then they'll pick, oh, this is, so means the word run means to do this. So those are the strategies one can use when it comes to teaching new words. Okay, there's a list of many strategies that I have just indicated for you here. Go through them and understand them, and try to come up with your own also. Ways of assisting learners who cannot read. Our learners who cannot read, what should we do? We should not just put them in the corner and say, it's over. We gave up on those ones. They cannot read. We tried, but nothing comes out. So they must just be there. You don't conclude. So the researchers are saying every learner is capable of reading and writing. So if you have a child or a learner in your class who cannot read, just know that you did not do as much as better as you're supposed to do. Every learner is capable of learning how to read. Highlight that one. So here are some of the strategies that we can use on assisting our learners who cannot read. Give them a compensatory teaching or learner support, as we say it in our schools. Expose them to many reading every day. If a child cannot read, a child who cannot read in your class, have maybe ask him or her to bring a notebook. Every day, give him new words to take home to go read. Ask him every morning, where are my words? Here are my, read them. Every day, bother him with any reading material. So in that way, that child will be able to improve in his or her reading skill. Give him a lot of reading work. Encourage him or her, so motivate him. The moment he reads a certain word correctly for you, ask the whole class to clap for him. Then you will say, aha, they will feel, aha, so I can also do. And also discourage this attitude of learners laughing each other when others cannot read. Have a peaceful reading environment, or a peaceful environment where learning environment where learners be able to learn better, and let them also know that making mistake is part of learning. Don't, if you make a mistake, don't give up and be shy that you don't want to try again. So everybody learned through making mistake. So inquiry-based learning, this is where learners are presented with a challenge which is required knowledge that has not been completely covered. Read more about that one and understand it. I have tried to put up some information for you, but go beyond that one. Ways that learners could assist in gathering, developing learning material for literature study. You find teachers are more stressed by gathering learning materials for their learners, without knowing that learners can also assist in gathering learning materials for their lesson. How should we do this? Read this one. There is a lot of information under this where learners, how should learners, you can make use of your learners in creating learning materials for your lesson. Also, the importance of assessing learners. Why do we assess our learners? Assessing, we know, or we are all aware of the meaning of this word, assessing. Why do we need to assess our learners? Okay, so have more information on that one. We move on and we go to nouns. Nouns, these are names. Nouns are names of anything. Any name could be an animal name, a person's name, any name are called nouns. Now there are abstract noun, collective nouns, compound noun, concrete noun, and non-countable nouns. Here are information of each type of noun. Try to understand it. Try to have enough examples when it comes to maybe to examination. You might find them there. Please don't mix them up. Okay. All right. Anything else? Try to communicate it with me. I'm very humble, very, very humble. Text me. I'll come back to you. Most of you try to call me, but calling, seriously, my schedule is so busy. I hardly go try to call you back or pick it up. Text me, then I will know you are one of my students, and let me know what is the exactly that you want to ask, and I will come to you once I get time. Your assignment question and presentation of your examination, these are the two tools that you need to use just to equip you with knowledge when it comes to examination question answering. Anything else, students? Let me know. This is the end of our presentation. It was a little bit fast, but I know we covered all of the important information. Thank you so much, and goodbye.